We talked on the previous real estate show about procedures and what a procedure was and why they're in place. So on this show, we're going to talk to you, the seller, the one who's looking to sell his house. What do we do as far as procedures when that's involved? It's the real estate show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I'm the owner-broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. Sellers, you're looking to put your house up for sale. Well, there's a procedure, there's a method that you have to follow in order to successfully do that. It's not like you can just list it in the newspaper like in the old days and someone's just going to walk in off the street and say, hey, I'll buy it. There are things that are involved. There are things that you need to do. There are steps that you have to follow and procedures that you have to complete in order to successfully get your home sold. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to do an assessment. What I mean by that is you're going to take a look at your house. You might drive around your neighborhood and look at other houses, just kind of comparing, likes to likes and so on and so forth. And you're going to decide that you're going to sell your home. So now you got to figure out, okay, if I'm going to sell my home, how much money do I need? I mean, I need to pay off a mortgage, or maybe I don't need to pay off a mortgage, or, I need to get this much money in order to accomplish to go to the next place I want to go, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. And you're probably going to contact a realtor to help navigate through all that. But before you do that, there are some steps or procedures that you're going to do in order to get your home ready. Now, in the real estate market, we call certain things, we'll call it preparation for sale, we'll call it staging for sale. There's just things that you need to do. I like to work with sellers and basically have them do that test of walking around their home with a friend or a confidant, to basically help point out some of the things that maybe you don't notice any longer. We live in our homes for a long time, and sometimes we don't do certain little minor repairs because we figure we'll just live with it or get to it later, and we don't realize how much those things might stand out. So there's always the good practice of having a friend that you trust, or a relative that you trust, or even a realtor that you're hiring approach the front door of your house and give you that impression, that first 15-second impression of what they're feeling, what they're seeing as they're approaching the house or entering the home. There are things that you may want to do to get ready to sell your home. Maybe you need to liquidate some personal items, sell off some furniture, put things in storage, research what it's going to cost to move, and so on and so forth, even before you've decided where you're going to go. A lot of things you need to look at. But let's say that you've decided you want to go on the market and you've decided you're going to go the route of where you're going to hire a realtor or an agency to represent your home for sale to buyers that are out there. The market's been a little bit strange. There are a few houses. Inventory is increasing, but there's still a lot of competition out there. And sometimes we run into the situation where we have many buyers wanting to buy a specific home, and we get overbidding and different types of contracts that come in, and it gets pretty confusing as to what might be the best way to go, which one's going to actually get to the closing, which one's going to actually pass all the different tests that have to be done. But hiring a realtor when it comes to sell your home is going to kind of give you the guide, the person who will be able to help you go through the different steps of getting that home successfully on the market and getting it sold. So let's kind of break down three of the major steps. The first step is preparing the home for sale. You want to, as I said, walk around the home, look at those things that need to be repaired, look at those things that need to be freshened up, maybe repainted, and so on and so forth, to get your home looking the possible best you can get it to look. You want to also do a little bit of research. You want to talk to a number of realtors and see who is offering you the best possibility and the best person you want to work with that's going to get the home sold. You want to make sure that you're not asking too much of a price for the home, because even though you may think you're going to attract cash buyers, that's not always the case. Statistics say 80% of people buying homes are going to finance it, and when you're financing a home, that gets a bank involved, and when a bank is involved, there's an appraisal that's involved. So there are procedures that you can do as a seller to possibly circumvent any problems down the future. One of the things is a pre-inspection. That's when you hire an inspector to come in and go through the house and basically give you a list of those things you should attend to or those things that you might have to negotiate on. You're going to maybe want to hire an appraiser to come in and do an appraisal on the home. So now you kind of know where you should be pricing it realistically, what the house will bring in the market. I've had people say to me, well, my neighbor's home sold for XYZ dollars. My neighbor's house is just like mine, and they got XYZ dollars. Well, I heard that houses of this size and this shape should sell for this amount of money. Well, some of that is true, but is it really solid true? This is why you get a realtor involved, because a realtor has the tools to do what's called a market analysis. They're going to actually look at the statistics and the data. They're going to look at your house. They're going to look at a number of different aspects, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, features of the house, location of the house, and all those things. They're going to take that all into account, and they're going to look at other homes that offer similar things. I mean, maybe you've done an update on your kitchen and your bathrooms, and there's a house right next door to you that still has the older bathroom and kitchen. So maybe your house is worth a little bit more. Maybe you have an in-ground swimming pool and the house next door doesn't. Maybe you just put a roof on last year and the house next door has a 25-year-old roof. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when it comes to pricing the home. So follow the guidelines of your realtor and do that research. Follow those steps to put the home on the market at a fair price where you're going to get the most buyers who want to come in and maybe make an offer on your home. Now, there's some other things that you need to do when you're looking to put your home on the market. And I call these the mindset things. You have to psychologically prepare yourself, because your home, where you live, where you abide, is no longer going to be your home. It now becomes a product. So you have to kind of open yourself up to criticisms, negativity a little bit. Buyers are going to be coming in and they're looking for a good buy. They're looking for a fair price, good buy when they're looking to buy a home. So you may have an idea that your house is this, and they may have an idea that your house is that. And those two ideas can be miles apart from each other. You have to prepare yourself for the emotionalism of not only getting your house sold, but moving on to some other place. Now, some people get very excited. It's a step up. Other people are downsizing, as they say, so they have to get themselves in a mind frame that they're going smaller. Some people go from condos to houses or houses to condos. I've even seen an uptick in manufactured homes recently because they're taxed differently than regular houses are. People are looking to save money because things have gotten so expensive. You need to kind of step back and get yourself in that zone, in that place of where you're prepared to follow those steps of successfully getting your home sold. Now, what are some of the things that you can do that might help you prepare or put a procedure in place to make your home stand out? Well, let's look at that for a moment. I've talked about on the real estate show several times about the approach, the curb appeal of the house. the procedures of what a curb appeal is. What do I mean by the procedure of curb appeal? Well, the procedure is people are going to do drive-bys. They're going to drive into the neighborhood, and they're going to see your house and how it presents itself to the street. They're going to decide whether or not that home is appealing enough for them to want to make an appointment to actually go in and take a look at it. So if you've got, dead bushes in the front yard and grass that's a foot high and windows that are broken and doors that are unpainted and shutters that are hanging sideways, and so on and so forth, you may not get a really good offer. You may get what's called lowball offers because the buyers already start formulating in their mind, I'm going to have to fix this, I'm going to have to do that, and so on and so forth. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't sell your house that way. But again, if you follow the guidelines of your realtor, they have procedures in place that can address those issues when it comes to selling the home. I was talking a little bit earlier about scale down. Now, what I mean by scale down, it's not necessarily the size of the home, going from a large home to a smaller home, but scaling down your stuff. What happens when you live in a home for a long, long time is you collect a lot of stuff. I've gone in homes where people have lived there 40, 50 years, and there's 40, 50 years of collections. I mean, there's tools of every shape and size that have been collected over the years. There's memorabilia. There's furniture that maybe was bought years ago that maybe is not in style for the home today. There's painting that needs to be done. There's window dressings that need to be replaced, and so on and so forth. So again, you kind of want to step back and look at these things because you want to put your home on the market and you want it to appeal to the widest range of buyers possible. So not only do you have to emotionally put yourself in the place to get your home sold because now it's a product, but you also have to neutralize the house. Now, I'm not talking about depersonalizing it all that much, but I mean, if you're a collector or you follow a certain guideline in your life, in your faith or whatever, perhaps you want to scale back on that a little bit because not everybody is going to find those things appealing. I always say to the seller, look, our goal is you're going to move anyway. So if you can go get the moving boxes and start packing some things away and sticking them out in the garage, if you have a garage, let's start doing that. I'll never forget that I took a buyer one time out and we went to look at a condo. The condo was beautiful. The rooms were open and spacious. There was lots of natural light. This seller followed the guidelines of their realtors. They followed the procedures. They made sure that the house could be seen from corner to corner, that the lights were on, that the curtains were open, everything was bright and clean and organized. And then we went over to look at the garage. And we couldn't get into the garage because the garage was filled floor to ceiling, wall to wall with all their stuff. That's where they put it all. They took it out of the house and packed it all in the garage because they're going to be moving. So we really couldn't get a good look at the size of the garage. We just kind of had to go with the flow that the garage is going to accommodate a car. But I thought that was kind of interesting because they staged the home beautifully and then they trashed the garage by putting all their stuff in it. But again, you have to make that decision because there's going to be a lot of expenses that are involved when you're looking to move and sell your home. So maybe it's not in your affordability range to be able to rent a storage unit and have everything taken and put in storage until you're ready to move it to another house. We all, when we're selling our homes, want to follow the procedure to the transaction, to the closing, and coordinate it with the next property that we're buying so they're closing around the same time. We put a procedure in place where I had a home listed for sale, and I was also representing the seller as a buyer to buy a place. And we coordinated with the other side, the seller that was selling the home that they're buying, to close on the same day. We closed on the seller's house in the morning, transferred all that money, went to the closing in the afternoon, transferred the money, and they went from one house to the other. And both the buyer and the seller, in that case, agreed to delay things by 24 hours. In other words, the buyer gave the seller time to get their stuff out of the house. The seller, who the house was being bought, gave the buyer the opportunity to put their stuff in the home so they were able to move stuff from one house to the other house. That's a coordination trick. That's where realtors start to cooperate with each other, and buyer-sellers all have to cooperate with each other in order to make that done. And there are procedures that are in place to do that. There are documents that are in place to do that, to make sure everybody's protected. And I won't go into those details just here and now. But again, these are things you can talk about when you're talking to your realtor. Selling a home in any marketplace can be a challenge. It can be a difficult thing to do because, as I said, you do have to change. You do have to frame your mind that now your home, the place that maybe you lived a number of years, that you've had all your emotional ups and downs in, that maybe you raised your children in, you're now going to be losing it or selling it, giving it to someone else. Well, not giving it to someone else, but selling it to someone else. And you're going to be moving on to something new. It's hard. It really is hard because, I've sold homes in my past where I know every inch of the house. I've touched every board. I've touched every wall. I've been all over every room, every floor over the years. I know every blade of grass and every tree, and I know the neighborhood and where the stores are, and it's familiarity to me, and I'm selling the house and I'm giving all of that up to somebody new. It's kind of hard. I was once told that when you are a seller and you're going to sell your home, once the home is sold, and you've moved on to your next place or whatever you're doing, don't go back. It's very hard to go drive by the house you lived in when someone else is owning it, because you start to feel a little, insulted maybe when you see the new buyer maybe starts changing the outside of the house, or geez, that tree that we planted all those years ago, they went and cut it down, or maybe they changed the facade of the house or the front walkway or whatever it might be. So they always tell you, sell it, move to your next place, and then forget about it. Don't go driving back, because you're just going to give yourself emotional trauma that you don't necessarily need. Selling a home has a procedure that's involved, both before the house is sold, while it's being sold, and after it's being sold. Your realtor will walk you through each one of those steps as you go along. And one of the big steps is accepting offers. You're going to get offers on your house, and all those offers are going to be different. They're going to come from different realtors and different companies and different buyers offering you different things, not just necessarily dollars. How is that contract put together? What does it involve? What does it say? Does it have the ability to make it to a closing? Is the buyer following the procedures they need to follow in order to get to the closing? Have they done the things they need to do? Are you going to be open to any renegotiations that may want to happen? So again, there's just a number of things that you're going to have to look at and decide on in order to follow the procedures to get that house to sold. Real estate procedures are put in place in order to make everything run as smoothly as it possibly can. So when it comes to selling a home, there are steps that you must follow in order to make sure you have a successful sale. And if you decide to try and skip those steps, you may be opening yourself up to either get a lower offer than you'd like to get, or possibly other problems down the road. That's why I always recommend to a seller that if they can do it, they have a pre-inspection done or they get an appraisal from a bank, because now they kind of know, here's the things that need to be done. This is what a professional inspector has told me. Here's what a professional appraiser that I've paid has given me as an appraisal as to what the house will sell for or what the house is worth. Sometimes that eliminates surprises. Sometimes people are surprised. There's always the unknown factor that's involved too. I mean, you can have an appraisal done on your house and get far more than the appraisal value, but that's going to change what kind of contract or offer you accept from a buyer. And you've got to follow your realtor's guidelines as far as what to accept when a house may not appraise, because nothing's going to happen. Nothing at all is going to happen unless the buyer and the seller come together and meet, and the transaction can go from one to the other as smoothly as possible. Sellers who are looking to sell their home are going to find that there's going to be certain challenges in getting that done. Now, I've talked about already, selling off furniture or putting things away or storing them someplace else, going through the house and making sure that things are under good repair, cleaning up the house, doing certain techniques of staging the home, looking at larger furniture, maybe removing that from the house. You want to have a situation where you can see corner to corner in each room. You want to make sure things are brightly lit. Clean your windows, open your curtains. When a showing is going to happen, make sure you turn all the lights on. And that's what I want to talk to sellers about. Showings, visits, buyers coming to your home. No matter what the season is, you're going to be opening your house to strangers. So you've got to follow certain procedures to protect yourself and your stuff. First of all, never allow anyone to come into your home and look at it if they're not represented by a licensed professional realtor. You don't want someone who's out walking their dog, walking by the front of your house. Hey, your house is up for sale. Would you mind if I come in and take a look? My sister's looking to buy a house. No, you don't want to do that. You want to say to that person, I would love to, but you know something? I have a contract with a realtor. Here's their card. Here's their number. Call them and they'll be happy to schedule a viewing for you of the house. That usually deters a lot of looky-loos. People who are just curious to see what the inside of your house looks like. It also deters criminals. Many years ago, I made the decision when I list a home to deter doing open houses. And I deterred doing open houses because I was a little concerned that there are a lot of people that are out there that come to open houses and they're not interested in buying the house. They're just interested in looking at your stuff. They're casing your home to see how it's set up, where valuables might be. And they're under the mask of they're looking to buy a home. And they go all out doing that. They show up, a couple shows up, they show up with children and so on and so forth. They may be the furthest thing from a buyer that's looking to buy your home. And during an open house, you never know who's coming. Realtors do all the advertising and they open the house up, but open house is exactly what it says, folks. Sellers, an open house means you're opening your house. You're opening it up to anybody who wants to walk in and take a look around. You don't know if they're pre-qualified or pre-approved. You don't know if they're in the market to buy a house. You don't know who they are, what their background is, if they have capabilities, if they have bad thoughts, if they want to do harm, if they're looking to steal anything. You don't know that when you're doing an open house. Realtors pre-screen their buyers. When a buyer works with a realtor, that buyer's been pre-approved for a mortgage in the price range your home is in. They have been checked out by the realtor they're working with. They developed a relationship. The realtor is now working with someone who is ready, willing, and able to follow through on a transaction should they make the offer on your home. My name's Rick Naples, and this has been the Real Estate Show. On the next show, I'm going to talk specifically about procedures for buyers. I'll see you next time.
Sometimes life just happens. Don't worry. Farmington Motorsports will get you back on the road and at a fair price. From towing to tires, emissions to transmissions.
Our ASC certified techs do it all.
Farmington Motorsports is a family-run business. We're a Napa Auto Center and AAA approved. We work on all makes and models from preventative maintenance to major repairs.
And every repair is backed by our 2-year, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty.
When life happens to you, don't worry. Farmington Motorsports.
Hello, I'm Bill Meyer, Board Director for Nutmeg TV, your local public TV station. For over 30 years now, Nutmeg has brought countless local events, municipal meetings, and programs to our TV screens. To continue this important work, Nutmeg relies on the support of generous individuals like yourself. So we're reaching out today to ask for your monetary support. Together we can continue to amplify the voices and stories that make our community unique and vibrant.
To make a donation, simply visit our website at nutmegtv.com or call the office at 860-321-7405 for assistance.